Hello and welcome to Prateek Chess Videos.
Hello, chess friends. I am overjoyed to share that we've reached a major milestone, our 1000th video. Thank you for being the driving force behind this incredible journey. Your support has inspired me every step of the way. And I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude towards all of you who are a part of this wonderful community. I look forward to seeing you in our future chess endeavors. Alright, let's start with the game. So, this game is between Tal and Koblents. You know his trainer? Yes. This game was played in 1957. This was actually a training game, not a game which was expected to be such a good game. So let's start the game. The game started e4, c5, Tal is white, Koblenz is black, the usual Sicilian, knight f3, d6, d4, c into d4, knight into d4, knight f6, knight c3, knight c6. So now this is the classical Sicilian. This may not be as aggressive as the Nasdorf or the Dragon, but it's still aggressive, as many aggressive games have been played for this system. Bishop g5, the test of the classical, the richer Roser. e6, we are continuing in the main line. Queen d2, long castle is the idea. Now bishop e7, short castle is the idea. Both sides want to castle. Long castle, short castle. And now knight to b3. White opens the queen. And now they are planning to do h4 and who knows, maybe f3, g4 or f4. As f4 is very common, so is h4, h5 in this Sicilians. So after knight to b3, queen to b6, a5, a4, black's plan as usual, black can attack on the queen side, that's all. Both sides are attacking each other, that's the thing of this all. So f3, as I told you, g4 might be on the what, g4, h5, and now black also starts a6. Now once you get the queen out of the way, I mean maybe a7 or c7, then just b5 and then rook b8, knight a7, a5, everything comes very fast, and that's true for white's attack too, as g4. Now h4, h5 I think is the thing we are waiting for. Now rook to d8. Firstly, getting the rook to the center. Still theory. d5 I guess. Counter a flank attack with a central one. Bishop e3. Attacking the queen. Queen c7. b5 is the thing. So I think white has helped black in executing his idea, as black went in a tempo and I think white lost a tempo. But one good thing is that the g pawn is now free to go. So I think g5 is a possible move. But first h4, I think then g5 might be on the watch. So h4, b5, black also starts attacking. And now g5. Well, still the same. So if knight to d7, which was by the way played in the game, Now there's a strong move, and if knight to h5, then this knight is sidelined, and I think f4 runs into knight to g3, so rook g1 is also nice. Queen f2, yeah, queen f2 I think is the best move. F4, bishop e2, and then the knight stuck. So because the queen controls the g3 square, so that's why I think knight d7 was played. And to knight d7, now g6, an interesting pawn sacrifice, trying to open the lines for the rook and the queen. Now h into g6, h5. Well, exchanging I think, and then queen h2 would be nice. If g into h5, then just rook into h5 and the queen h2, that's just ridiculous. And if, well, actually it was ridiculous and it happened in the game. Rook into h5 and then knight to f6 attacking h5. That's nice. And now rook to h1. Queen h2 is nice one. I think queen h2, queen h8 is the idea. And now d5. Black stops white from carrying out queen to h2 because now the queen's protecting the h2 square. Not protecting, actually threatening that if white interferes, then black will just exchange the queens. So, well, e5 is the best move in this position which was played in the game. Knight into e5. Now it may seem like we are just leaving the queen to rampage on this thing, but not it's not as obvious as it seems. Now bishop to f4 was played, which is a mistake. Now if queen to h2, which is actually the best move. Now knight g6, well, it seems like knight g6 is controlling the matter, but not very much, because if knight to g6, which is mistake, now the queen is a bad move, so nor the bishop nor the pawn. So what should be move in this position? Well, I guess the answer to that is, I think a waiting move would be nice, or rook d2 and stuff. Yes, so this is a interesting position on how white should punish black for doing this. So well, we should just exchange, but actually it's a horribly wrong position because uh, most people will thought it's an exchange, but actually you need a very clever eye to see that it's not an exchange, and you need to be paying attention to this game, only then you will be able to see that it's a queen blunder. So that's why this move is completely busted. There's a pin here, I just didn't tell you about it. Alright, that was tricky. So king to f8 should have been the best defense of queen to h2. Queen to h8 check would be forced, knight to g8 would be forced, and rook to h7 would have been nice. Attacking g7, g6 loses to queen g7, bishop f6, attacking g7 is a nice one, but now I think the bishop can go to g2 and, well, go to h1, or here we can do another thing, overthink to black and play bishop to c5 check. Now king to e8 is nice, but queen into c5 is the best move that can be played. Knight into c5, and it's just bad. Black is just screwed in this position if I am seeing the correct one, but no. It appears as black is dead lost, but knight to g6, the bolt from the blue, and actually it is black winning this position. Amazing, amazing. So actually here after bishop to f6, Black is actually winning. Queen to h8 check, knight to g8 and rook h7, as good as it may seem, is a blunder. You should not play rook to h7. You should play bishop to d4. Yes, that's correct. Bishop to d4. Amazing move. So idea is f4 and then the bishop goes to g7. So I guess this position's pretty much winning. Now let's go on to the game. So bishop f4 was a mistake because of all these aforementioned reasons. Bishop to d6. Now white could have exploited it, but white didn't, and now black is willing to get back the h2 square. Now the idea is that, well, after bishop f4, bishop d6, queen to h2, and now wait a minute. Alright, it's really tricky here. It's getting really tricky. So after queen to h2, now king to f8 was played in the game. Now you may wonder that there's a tactic knight to d3 check. Why shouldn't it be played? Well, idea is that if the knight is taken, then bishop into f4 check, and we double attack. And if the knight's not taken, then we take a free bishop. But the problem in but the problem is in the latter, because now king to b1 can be played. Amazing move. Now the idea is that if black takes the white bishop with knight into f4 or bishop into f4, then queen to h8 is mate. Amazing idea. So it's getting really complicated. And now king to f8. So after king to f8, queen to h8 check. That's probable. Knight to g8 and then rook to h7, attacking g7. Pretty nice. Now not so nice for black, as black has to play f5 to defend this. uh well, not a serious but a weakening that can be noticed of black's camp. Now we defend g7, but we also weaken the dark squares and the king's safety. And now bishop to h6. Ridiculous, just ridiculous. I mean, you place three pieces, white pieces, in the three ranks on h6, h7, and h8, and think this game to be normal. Just ridiculous. This rook spinning this, the queen spinning this, the king spinning this. Point of interlock. This guy. This is the thing. That's why we are here. This we need to take g7. If white succeeds in taking g7, then you can officially sign resignation. But as long as white doesn't take, black is still alive. Now it now it will be an intensifying defensive resources and attacking resources combat. So now firstly rook to d7 defending g7. Now there are 1, 2 and 3 pieces. White has 1, 2 and 3 pieces. Now white exploits a tactic and plays bishop into b5. Well, it lacked the juice, because now after bishop into b5, actually the position's kinda equal. After rook to d7, it was like equal, and bishop into b5 didn't really change a thing, but it was cool and made the opponent's life hard, so we are just gonna give it a good move. And the thing is that a into b5, which is a really bad move, runs into knight into b5. Now we attack on c7, we attack on d6. So the idea is that the queen has to move. Obviously the queen has to move, or else, or I think so. Yep, I think the queen has to move, and now knight into d6. That's the problem. That knight into d6, and now if black takes, then they're 3 to 2. So white gets the pawn, and now rook into g7 comes, and black's dead. So that's why now knight into d6 will be played, and then it's just a winning position. And if you play this, then it's still a winning position. But black is clever, and black plays rook to f7, sidestepping this thing. But actually, it was not that clever of black playing rook to f7. It was better to play knight to g6. Yes, knight to g6. This game is just getting weirder and weirder. Trapping the queen here, but now knight to d4 comes, attacking e6, and it's just a roller coaster, and it's a very unclear position in which black's rook is hanging, white's queen is hanging, the pawn's hanging, which can initiate a fork between a king and a queen, and the main points g7, and the bishop's hanging. So it's just a roller coaster, a complete roller coaster. So that's why not to run all these complications. Now bishop into b5 and then rook f7. But now rook to g1, 4 2 3. How are you doing? The rook is in the game. 1 2 3 and 4. Well, they're attacking it. 1 2 3 and 4, and then 1 2 and 3. Wait a minute, something seems to be the problem. There are only 3 defenders. That's correct. The defenders are f7 rook, f8 king, and c7 queen, and the attackers are h8 queen, h7 rook, h6 bishop, and g1 rook. So it's an amazing battle. But why black sacrifices a knight? Well, that happens in the next move. Firstly, black plays rook to a7. Now it's 4 to 4. Black adds a piece. Now knight to d4. White adds pressure. Knight into e6. The e6 is in pressure. And knight to c6 is a threat lurking. So it's pretty much of ideas. And knight into f5 is also coming. The game's just a roller coaster. And now knight to g4. Black has to sacrifice to keep white's forces down for a while, but it's, I think, meaningless. No, it's not. It's just a attempt to maintain this position. Now this position still only slightly better for white. I won't give this position an evaluation of slightly better. I would give this an evaluation of a very unclear position. It's just a chaos. It's just chaos. Now bishop to e5. Now it's 5 to 3. As black has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, while white has 1, 2, and 3. All on the g7. The attackers are these, the defenders are these. So it's really bad. It looks like really sleek for white, but now is the glimmer of hope. Knight to c6. The knight issues from anything, and now knight into e5 is threatened, knight into a7 is threatened. Both are supporters of the g7 pawn, so the g7 pawn is overall threatened indirectly. But now bishop into c3. That, dear, that must have been a blunder. But exactly why? As we see with our friend now, it's very bad. Knight c6, white was winning. White was winning, but white screwed the option. Knight f3 was winning with some variations. And now, well, I'll just leave this at bishop d3 and tell white decisive advantage. You can figure out the rest on your own. I don't really understand what's happening. So after bishop into c3 to the game, now bishop to e3. Just an amazing move can be played. Just an amazing move. I'd give this a double exclamation mark because you just neglect that there's a bishop on c3 worth taking and just attack on a7 because that's the priority. d4, black tries to not let the bishop to a7, but the bishop doesn't care. Rook gh1 now. It's a bloody threat. That, well, how do I put this now? Rook to d7 was played, but it was freeing space for the king. Why exactly? Because if you take on e3, which would be a blunder if you do, queen into g8 check, king into g8, rook to h8 mate. Just chaos. Complete chaos. So rook to d7. Now bishop to g5. Another mistake. I'm not even giving this a blunder. I can imagine how tough this game is. Bishop e7 checks the idea. Apparently rook e7 runs into knight into e7. Now a into b5. Black captures the bishop. The chaos are starting to clear out. Rook 1 h6. Rook f6 check is threatened, I think, or rook into e6 can also be played. And now d3. Idea is, I think, d2 and things. Now b into c3. White finally captures the bishop, but now d2 check. And then king to d1. Queen into c6. It may seem like white's king is in danger with queen to f3 checkmate lurking around. But now the savior arrives. Rook to f6 check. Boom, and it's over. It's over. Rook to f7 was played. G into f6 literally runs into bishop to h6 check. Rook g7 runs into bishop into g7 check. Rook into g7 runs into queen into g7. King to h8. Queen into g8 mate. Chaos on the board. Chaos. So that's the thing. Now rook f7 and then after queen into g7 check, black finally resigned because now if king to e8 then queen into g8 check, king e7, rook into f7 check, and it's a double check, and if you go on d6 it's literally destruction. I guess bishop to f4 check. Yup, king goes to king can't go to really anywhere. Rook f6 check, king c5. It's just total destruction. We take here, we take here, just to demonstrate. Takes here and mate. Amazing game. Amazing game. Oh my god. So this was the game. The lessons from this game were that never ever enter on complications with Tal. Alright, let's be serious. The lessons from this game were that well, as you see, we took on a complex method of calculating how many defenders and attackers were there. Well, you need to just actually count the numbers. So there's 3 and there's 3. You just count them and the counting's over. And it was an amazing clash with many things. It was especially about Tal's calculation, and you should keep in mind the tactics that can issue in such positions, as the tactical ideas are often very deep. So this was the game. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Thank you.